Hello, it's the Irish Gypsy here to do your January 2016 readings. I continue to use the Gilded Tarot deck, drawing 8 cards for the month, 2 cards for each week, with an additional card as the overall theme and advice for the month. And these are general readings, so they may not apply or resonate the same with everyone who watches. If they don't, I suggest you check your rising and your moon sign as well. A special thank you going out to all those of you who have allowed me to do personal readings for you. It's been an honor. Thank you for that. And thank you for keeping my schedule so full. If anyone is interested in a private reading, you can click on the About button on my channel's homepage, and that will give you a little more detail on who I am, the services I offer, and my contact information, which is Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. These videos I am posting this week are for the month of January, and I try to run a special each month for private readings. My specials for January will be personal readings for $1 a minute, beginning at 30-minute readings and going up to 90-minute readings. Since I am recording and posting these at the end of December, if you're watching the January videos still during the end of December, the specials for December will continue until January 1st, and those are half-hour readings for $25, 45-minute readings for $40, and 1-hour readings for $50. And I thank you for those who continue to watch and listen and subscribe. I appreciate all your comments and your feedback. And I hope that the January videos will have the issue of volume resolved. So thank you for that, and let's get right into this reading. This is for Taurus, the bull, our rooted, grounded earth signs for the month of January 2016. Taurus, January 2016. What does the first month of this new year hold for the bulls of the zodiac? Taurus, January 2016. Okay. For the first week, we have the King of Cups, followed by the Two of Wands. For the second week, we have the Devil card, followed by the Star. Interesting. For the third week, we have the Seven of Cups, followed by the Eight of Pentacles. For the fourth week, we have the Seven of Swords, followed by the Nine of Pentacles. And as your overall theme and advice for the month, I pull a card from the bottom of the deck, and you have the Six of Wands. So, let's take a look for us. So first of all, I'm reading this primarily as something to do with a significant relationship in your life, whether it's a love relationship or a best friend relationship or a close business connection of some kind. I'm reading this first and foremost as relationships. So if this doesn't resonate with you, if someone's Taurus is watching and you're not involved in any close relationships in your life currently, you may want to check your rising or your moon sign as well, if this may not resonate with you. So let's begin. We start with the King of Cups, followed by the Two of Wands. Now, the King of Cups, the element being water, and cups is a suit that represent our emotions, love, relationships. Kings are individuals who are, the kings have reached the mastery of their suit, and the King of Cups is someone who has reached mastery over his emotions. This is someone who is able to access his emotions when and where he wants to, as he chooses to, and this is somebody who's able to be compassionate and help people during difficult times as well, particularly emotional times, and he's able to empathize with them while at the same time not getting too drawn into any emotional drama surrounding him. This is someone who is able to hold and balance his emotions in a very practical but still compassionate sort of way. So now this card is paired with the Two of Wands, and the Two of Wands is wands, the element being air and fire, and it's a suit that represents change, movement, action, power. And the Two of Wands, I always look at as one of the minor choice cards of the tarot deck. It shows a man who is standing at a crossroads, trying to adjust my light just a little bit here. A man who is standing at a crossroads, and he has two specific paths in front of him that he can decide on which one to walk on. They both look fairly similar. They're both headed off in basically the same direction, and from his vantage point, the destination is not apparent. So this is a card of being in a place. It can represent being kind of stuck in indecision, although I think it more is just kind of surveying the paths that are in front of you and looking at them to see if there's anything that will sway you one way or the other. It's a card of planning and movement. This is a card of looking forward into your future and trying to decide which path to take for the best hope of success. And actually paired with the King of Cups, I'm actually reading the King of Cups first and foremost as an actual individual in your life, Taurus. This, for some of you, could resonate as you, as being someone who's manifesting or who manifests the traits of the King of Cups. But I'm reading this as an actual individual in your life, and as a water sign, this could be Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, or someone who just um, carries a lot of the traits of that individual in there. It could also be a woman, not just a man, simply because it's coming up as a king. But I read this as an actual individual in your life, and I see this as someone that you're actually trying to make a decision about in terms of the relationship or where the relationship is going. And again, if you're not in a relationship, if this doesn't resonate with you, I can only read the cards the way that they come across to me in a reading, and you might want to check your rising or moon sign as well. But I see this primarily as being at a crossroads where you feel like there's some kind of decision you need to make about this King of Cups individual. I'm kind of also reading from this King of Cups card that this is an individual who can sometimes tend to be on the indecisive side. I'm getting almost kind of a wishy-washy sort of feeling off of it, as someone who, as the other person in this relationship is not the one in the position of wanting to make a decision or wanting to make a shift or a change of some kind in this relationship. Feels a little muddied to me right now, but it looks like you're either ending December or going into January wondering if you should take a different path with this relationship or in fact walk away from it entirely. Now in the second week we have the Devil card, the Major Arcana card, followed by the Star card, another Major Arcana card, one of my favorite in the deck. Now the Devil card can speak of addictions. It can speak of what we think of as the stereotypical addictions like drugs, alcohol, money, shopping, sex, obsessive focus on work, or anything with which there's too much weight in one area or another, too much focus, too much almost obsessive energy. This card primarily speaks of imbalance, and is a card that calls for balance. This speaks of putting too much into one thing, too much focus, too much energy into something. And the read that I'm getting off of it is that it's connected with this relationship. In fact, all the cards I'm getting in this are kind of pointing towards this relationship you have. And again, it could be a love relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It could be a close family member. It could be a best friend, or a close business relationship, although I'm reading it just first and foremost as more of a love energy or a love relationship. The Death card speaks of obsession and imbalance, and it might be that you're in a relationship with someone who has an addiction problem, someone who struggles with drug or alcohol addiction, or some other kind of obsessive behavior pattern, something that they can't quite stop doing or can't quite stop consuming. But primarily it's imbalance. It's a card that speaks of putting too much to the detriment of yourself and the people around you into this. And I'm reading this as being in a relationship where either from you to the other person or the other person towards you, there's too much obsessive circular thinking, too much neediness, too much clinginess going on in this relationship. There's something in this relationship that feels very unhealthy and very obsessive about, but very exclusive in that the energy is being put directly, too much energy is being focused and put directly into the relationship itself. Now, it's paired with the Star card, which is a really interesting combination of cards. The Star card speaks primarily of hope and faith. It shows a woman who's unreservedly pouring her pitchers out into the water in perfect faith and confidence that they will be replenished because the source is limitless. It's a card of better times ahead. It's a card that I often see in a reading following someone's a period in someone's life that's been very challenging or painful or even cataclysmic and traumatic. It's a card that speaks of healing and restoration, but primarily of faith and hope. And what I'm getting off of this combination in relation in terms of in the context of this relationship, whatever kind of relationship this is, I feel like Taurus that you're somehow involved in a relationship, whether it's on one side or the other, where it's very exclusive. It feels very obsessive and unhealthy. It feels like there's a huge sense of imbalance, and that there's a there's a theme of complicity in it, in that you're not willing to look outside of the relationship or take a step back to see it in with more clarity and more wisdom. It feels like this is kind of a relationship that's kind of overtaken either your life or your thinking, um, and something that you base the majority of your life decisions on. And it feels like, in spite of your knowing how unhealthy it is and how imbalanced it is, that you're still somehow having faith and hope that everything's going to turn out well in this relationship, that somehow it's just going to work out. That's what I'm getting off of that combination of cards. Now, in the third week, we have the Seven of Cups, followed by the Eight of Pentacles. Now, the Seven of Cups, Cups being another, a card of emotion, relationships, love. The Seven of Cups can come across as, it could read a couple of different ways. This could mean having a variety of choices in front of you. I look at it, too, as a card of distraction. This is a card of kind of the siren's call. There's 7 different cups depicted on this card, and each one is filled with something quite fascinating and beautiful to look at, and each one appears to have a lot of potential and a lot of growth, and they all look very beautiful. This is a card that speaks to perhaps not being focused enough in something and not looking at something in a realistic and clarifying way. This is a card of fantasy and illusion primarily, and a card of distraction. Now, it's paired with the Eight of Pentacles, which is a card somewhat in contradiction to that. I like to call this the worker bee card. That's kind of the feeling, the energy I get off of this card. Pentacles, the element being of earth, and Pentacles is a suit that represents things in our tangible world around us, typically money, finances, resources, assets, property. It can speak to jobs and careers. And the Eight of Pentacles shows a man who is hard at work at his desk. He's working on his one pentacle, and the other 7 are dancing in the air above him. This is someone who's worked very hard on something, someone who's very driven and very compelled and very dedicated. You can see the sun is going down and his candles are burning, and he is hard at work, and he's not paying much attention to anything else but what's in front of him. And combined with the Seven of Cups, the feeling I'm getting off of this and the reading so far is, in this relationship, the cards are speaking to, just like with the Devil and the Star, I think that there's an element of fantasy or illusion in this relationship where there's a strong sense of imbalance and almost an unhealthy obsessive feel to this relationship, that somehow you're having some kind of blind faith that things are just going to work out. Somehow, somewhere, it's just going to work out, and um, perhaps even to the point where you fantasize about where this relationship is going, or how good it could be, or what the potential of it is. But this card combination tells me, too, that you're putting a lot of work and effort into this relationship, and perhaps you have for quite some time, but you're not actually being very grounded and realistic about this. This combination, to me, the energy that I'm getting off of it is that you're investing a great deal of yourself, and it's not really paying off in the end, that you're being distracted by what could be and what might be, and this might be fostered by the person that you're in a relationship with, in terms of your faith and optimism and hoping that things will get better, or they'll work out the way that you want to. but this card speaks of investing in something that you're not getting much of a return in, but you're actually being just distracted by fantasy and illusion of what the relationship could be or what the potential for this relationship is, which doesn't look like it's paying off right now. And I'm sorry to see that for you. In the last week, we have the Seven of Swords, followed by the Nine of Pentacles. Now, the Seven of Swords, swords, the element being air, and swords being a suit that represent our thoughts, our ways of thinking, our reasoning, our logic. And I've heard this card referred to as the thief card. It shows in this deck, the artwork shows a man, a thief, who has come and stolen away the majority of the swords. Not all of them. There's still a few left behind because he can't carry all of them. But he's taken a whole armful of them, and he's sneaking away and kind of looking back with a smarmy, sneaky, deceptive look on his face if he's getting away with something. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this card. It's somebody, sometimes, depending on where it falls in the reading and the card that surrounds it, it can read as needing to be a little more clever about how you're going about doing something or trying to achieve or get something. It can talk about thinking outside of the box and just being a little more clever. But in this particular reading, with the energy that I'm getting off of it and the pairing of these card combinations, I feel like during this month of January, either towards the middle or the end of the month, and it's kind of a running theme that this represents a person in your life, this person that you're in a relationship with, and I'm getting just a very sneaky, manipulative feeling off this card that this person you're involved in a relationship with is actually is not everything that they're either saying that they are or trying to appear that they are, that there's a lot more going on under the surface that you're not aware of. And it also speaks, the cautionary piece of advice would be if you feel like this person, that if something's not quite right, those feelings are there for a reason and you need to pay attention to them. This card is paired with the Nine of Pentacles, which depicts an individual, a woman in this case, who is enjoying the fruits of her labor. This is someone who is or has been very independent and very self-assured. She's enjoying what she has worked very long and hard for. She's surrounded by her abundance and the sense of security she has from the things that she has earned. And the things that she has around her that make her feel comfortable and add to her sense of abundance are things that she has gotten purely from dint of her own work and virtue of her own talent and her own hands. This is not an individual who has had much, if anything, handed to them. They've worked very hard for everything that they've gotten, and are in a position where they have been enjoying the fruits of their labors because of their long, hard work. And paired with the Seven of Swords, I feel like whoever it is that you're involved with in this relationship is actually, if they're not actually outright stealing money from you or stealing some kind of tangible sort of resources, then they are, and perhaps are in addition, manipulating you in some way, taking advantage of you in some way, and it leaves you feeling at the end of the month like you are being taken advantage of. They're taking something from you, and it could be the woman in this card is very self-assured and very self-confident, and it could be that the way that this relationship plays out, if it's not resonating for you, and that they're actually stealing something tangible from you, money or property or something like that, it could just be that the nature of the relationship, the imbalance in the relationship is leading you to a place where you actually feel like your sense of self-confidence, your sense of self-assurance, and your sense of just the foundation of what you've built for in your life is somehow being taken away from you or compromised somehow by the nature of the relationship you have with this individual. And I don't like to see that. It looks like this is something or someone, and again, if you're not in a relationship with someone and this isn't resonating for you as a relationship reading, it could read as a business relationship or even a job of some kind where you're considering making a different decision or making a decision to leave it, but you feel like you're kind of held hostage or chained to it because of what you keep being told that you're going to get in the future, or the idea that you think you're going to get in the future because of what you were promised. You're working very hard, you're doing your part, you're putting your work into it, you're devoting quite a bit of time and effort and energy, and being distracted by the potential of what could be. But it looks like at the end of the day, i.e., at the end of the month, you're just left feeling in a position and in a place where you feel like you're being taken from, like you're investing all of this time and energy and perhaps even financial resources into something, and the other person or the other entity or structure or business or job just continues to take and take from you, and it leaves you feeling very depleted and perhaps even in a position of self-doubt, like you feel your self-confidence or your self-assurance is really shaken, that they're taking that from you, if not actually taking or stealing physical money. It's a card combination at the end that speaks of manipulation and deception. Um, but it looks like you're really, at least through the majority of the month, this is really something you want to have faith in and you want to believe in. And the card, the interesting thing, Taurus, is that the card that you got as an overall theme or journal advice of the month is the Six of Wands, which is the victory card. This speaks of victory, of triumph over something, and it shows a man who's riding back into town um, triumphantly. He's dressed in his best. His horse is decorated. The banners are waving. He's getting cheers. People are applauding him. He's receiving accolades. This is a card of triumph over something. Now, this could play out that all of these things that are going on within this relationship, whatever the nature of this relationship is, this could mean that at the end of the day you actually end up triumphing over this. If you're watching this reading, ahead of time, forewarned is forearmed, as the saying goes. And when you see or feel like these things are coming to pass, or that you realize you're in the midst of some of this manipulative energy or obsessive, unhealthy imbalance within whatever this relationship is, you can certainly make decisions to choose to do things a different way or choose to go down a different path in a different way, or just walk away entirely. The choice is always up to you. This speaks of having victory over it overall. This speaks of it's a triumph card. So I'm not really sure if this means that you're going to triumph over this situation, or with the amount of blind faith and illusion and fantasy that's also in this reading, if this is something that you're just trying to hold on to. So I don't generally pull clarifying cards for general readings, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull one clarifying card for that Six of Wands as an outcome for you, Taurus, just to see if we can clarify what that actually represents a little bit better. So one clarifying card for Taurus for that Six of Wands outcome. I'm curious to see if it will point towards that being something that you desire, or something that has the likelihood of actually occurring in the month of January 2016. Clarifying card for the outcome for Taurus, January 2016. Okay, and we've pulled the Five of Swords. So the Five of Swords speaks of a temporary but shallow kind of victory, and it's really interesting that that's the clarifying card that you have for the Six of Wands, which is a victory card, a card of triumphing over something. The Five of Swords speaks of having a victory over something, but it implies a shallow victory or a temporary victory of some kind, and one that has cost him quite a bit. This card, the artwork in the card in this deck, depicts a man who has obviously just finished a battle. His opponents or his enemies are either flat out on the ground, or obviously in a very defeating position. He has won. He has taken the swords of his opponents or enemies and is holding his own sword aloft in victory. But if you look a little closer, you can see that this battle has really cost him quite a bit. He's bleeding from a cut on his forehead. He looks very tired and worn out and exhausted, and even though he has come out the victor in this battle, he doesn't look particularly, happy or victorious. He looks tired and exhausted from this battle. It's cost him quite a bit. And this card speaks of, one of the biggest questions I always get in my head for this card is, was it worth it? Was it worth the fight? Was it worth the wounds that you've received? And I think for this reading overall, Taurus, The feeling that I'm getting, and with these two interesting sort of victory cards, I'm kind of getting the feeling that you're just in a relationship that's it feels very consuming and very unhealthy, and there's a strong degree of imbalance in it, whatever the nature of this relationship is. And I think that any relationship that has a foundation built on imbalance isn't stable and doesn't tend to work out too well in the long run. It looks like you really, really want it to work out. It looks like you're having what appears to be almost blind faith in it working out somehow. But that working out somehow is an illusion built more on what you would like it to be or what you see the potential of it to be rather than what it really is. And that you're pouring a lot of yourself and your hard work and effort and possibly even tangible financial resources into um, what doesn't look to be reality based. And at the end of the day, you're going to feel if it continues as is with no changes, you'll feel very depleted and actually that it's going to take something from you. And while you may achieve a sort of a victory of sorts, the cards are pointing towards, you're asking yourself, is it really worth it because it's cost me an awful lot. So Taurus, what an interesting reading. It feels kind of, a bit dramatic and it feels kind of heavy and almost exhausting. But, like I said, forewarned is forearmed, and if you find this actually resonating for you and playing out, the advice of the cards would be to try and maintain a little bit of balance, but above all, to actually maybe take a step back and ask yourself if what you're putting into this is really worth it, if the payoff is going to leave you feeling fulfilled and with some joy and security and abundance in your life, and whether or not you're going to be able to maintain the self-assurance and self-confidence and the things that you have worked so hard to build up for yourself. Uh, so Taurus, I hope this has resonated for you in some way, or I hope it's at least given you some wisdom and insight and maybe some foresight on what you might be facing and how to walk a path through this that will leave you feeling differently than what the cards are pointing to if nothing changes or if you don't, if you don't make any moves to take a different step or a different path. If you'd like a further extension of this reading, or you would care to have a personal reading, please don't hesitate to contact me at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com, or you can get a little more information by pushing by clicking on the About button on my channel's homepage. And I look forward to seeing how this plays out for you in the month of February. It looks like there's a lot to consider and reflect on, and I hope that you take the opportunity to do that because I would like to see. I would not like to see you reach a point, Taurus, where everything that you've worked for, being the grounded, practical, hardworking, and caring individuals you are, I would not like to see you be in a position or feel that you're in a relationship where that's being taken from you or by anyone. So I hope that you're able to reflect and perhaps walk a different path that doesn't include some of the more negative aspects of the potential of this reading. So Taurus, I will see you next month in February 2016. I hope that the first month of this beautiful brand new year goes well for you. And I will see you in a few weeks. And as always, I wish you joy, peace, and a happy life.